Welcome to Minute with Myers. And today we're going to talk about memory and do you remember and how important memory is because remembering is important to all of our relationships. It's important in our relationship with God. Over and over, especially in the Old Testament, we're reminded by God to remember the things that God has done for us in the past. And it comes up especially in difficult times, right? When we cry out or when we call out to God, when we remember what God has done in the past. So even when God is giving the 10 Commandments, whether you're reading the version in Deuteronomy or the version in Exodus, it starts this way: I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. And it's an introduction, in a way, to the 10 Commandments, but it's there to remind us of what God has done for us in the past. So that changes how we view the world and how we live in the world today and tomorrow. Think of it this way: if you have a disagreement with one of your friends, is the friendship over? Not usually, because you remember the times that you built trust. You remember the good times that you shared with that friend or with that other person. And so you're a lot more willing to forgive and sustain that relationship and be better in that relationship when you remember the history of it. And so, in the wisdom that the Bible gives us in our relationship with God, we are called over and over again to remember all that God has done for us and remember of Christ on the cross and God's love for us, so that when we hit the difficult days or the hard times, and God, where are you in all of this? That we remember that God has always been faithful in the past in our relationship and that God's fidelity is always still there. Do you remember? If you're going through a hard time right now, just it's a way of remembering the past so that we can have hope and trust in the future. Do you remember what God has done for you, all that God has blessed you with, all that God has given you? And so when you face hard times, you can remember and understand and know that God will see you through this as well. That's today's Minute with Myers. God bless.